Elden Ring. It's a game I love, it's a game you love, and if you don't love it, you will. And with the release of the DLC, we can have more. More bosses, more content, but no new achievements. And I've already 100%ed the base game, so instead, I'll be killing every boss and completing every side quest. So, let's get to it. We create our legendary warrior and begin our conquest, speeding past the early enemies and acquiring our trusty steed before rushing our first boss, Margit, the Fell Omen. For this playthrough, I chose the samurai class, not for the busted katana, although it doesn't hurt, but for the parry mechanic. And Margit can get chain parried, turning him into a glorified punching bag. But this is just abuse. But after killing Margit, we can face our first shard bearer, Godric the Grafted. This one can't be parried, but he still gets rolled because he's an easy boss. After defeating Margit and Godfrey, we can move on to the rest of Limgrave. Limgrave holds 30 optional bosses, most of which are just normal enemies, so I'm gonna skip over them. But my personal rival is the Bell-Bearing Hunter. Compared to other difficult fights, like the Tree Sentinel, I find these guys way harder. And throughout the run, we need to kill 5 of them. So all these deaths right now are just much needed practice. We also find the Siofra River Well, which is very cool, and gives us access to 2 more bosses, the Dragonkin Soldier and the Ancestor Spirit, both of which are pretty easy. After killing those 2, we have completed all of Limgrave, with 34 bosses slain, and with our first region fully conquered, it's time to begin Westward Expansion. The Academy of Raya Lucaria, the location of our next story boss and home to these magic-spamming wiener lickers. Curse you! We break into school, kill the class pet, who is just a normal enemy, and out-parry the parry guy, allowing us to fight the main boss, Renala, Queen of the Full Moon. Now look, I like violence, some would say I love it, but slaughtering a classroom full of paraplegics is a little fucked up. Luckily, she can walk in her second phase, so I don't feel bad about killing her. She lasted a whole 45 seconds, which made me realize, damn, maybe I'm a little over-leveled. See, fighting every boss isn't much of a challenge, because you get so much XP. So, I'll come back to that later, and instead, I blitz it straight to the Carrion Manor to swear my undying fealty to our holy waifu, Rani, who gives us our next target, Star Scourge Radahn, situated on the shores of Caelid. And now is a perfect time for a new build. We swap out our katana and shield for the hook claws, adding the flaming strike ability for a little extra kick. But now we need something to test it on, and like any good empire, we conduct all of our weapons testing on the local populace. I think it works pretty well. So, we skirt over to Redmane Castle and quickly kill Radahn on our first attempt. And I wanted to clear out the rest of the Caelid, but the leveling is absurd. I beat Radahn at level 64. After killing 5 out of 11 bosses, I was level 80. No more unnecessary bosses. By this time, I was already bored of my build, so after progressing to the capital and killing the Draconic Tree Sentinel, it was time for something new. So I headed north to kill the Elmer of the Briar and take his magic sword. And this guy is just a glorified bell-bearing hunter, so all the practice came in handy. Just kidding, I still sucked at this fight, but yet I persevered and made a build that was much better and, dare I say, cooler. Something about thrusting a spinning blade into your flailing enemies is so satisfying.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to burst.
Inside the capital, there are 2 mandatory bosses, Golden Godfrey and Morgoth, the Omen King, which are probably the 2 easiest story bosses in the whole game. I don't think I've ever died to Margit, and I don't think I ever will, besides this time. You saw nothing. We approach the room with the Elden Ring, but can't enter. Door is locked. The only natural response is to burn the whole world to the ground. To do that, we have to slay the fire giant, but that also locks you out of almost everything in the game. So this is when I went back and did every uncompleted side quest available, which was all of them. Starting with our queen. We raid the Eternal City of Nokron, killing the Mimikir and Regal Ancestor Spirit bosses, before venturing into the Lake of Rot. Pause for a moment, I need to rant. Whoever thought about putting a boss down here needs to be put down. First off, this area sucks, we all know it, but making you fight a boss in the Cancer Swamp, on top of platforms the size of my left pinky toe, is the closest I've come to seeking a full frontal lobotomy. Who thought of this? Unpause. Astel, the natural born of the void, is one of my favorite fights in the game because goddamn it looks so cool. And it's really easy. It also leads to, aesthetically, my favorite area in any game ever, the Moonlit Altar. And even better, we get to marry our queen. In the spirit of our long-lasting relationship, I made a new build, using the Wing of Astel as our primary and the Dark Moon Greatsword for backup. And let me tell you, these weapons are busted. I've always known the Dark Moon Greatsword was good, but I have never, in 160 hours of playing, heard anyone mention the Wing of Astel. This thing is amazing. Now, the other side quests aren't nearly as cinematic, but a quick recap. Selen is a ball now, Yura is dead, D is dead, Lobster Guy dead, e.g. Vare, Dialos, Fia, they're all dead. Everybody's dead. On the bright side, Bach is alive, and Nefeli is now the queen of Stormvale Castle, so there are a couple happy endings. Also, we force-fed this girl a bunch of eyes, and now she's insane. Then we ventured to Mount Gelmir to join Volcano Manor. This quest requires us to become assassins, for which we obviously oblige. I love killing people, and behind the manor we can meet with Iron Fist Alexander, who allows us to reach our final form, the Jarhead. Returning to the questline, we have to assassinate 3 targets for the manor. As a reward, we're allowed to meet their leader, Rykard, Lord of Blasphemy, in the best gimmick fight ever. There's just something so cool about using a magic light spear to slay an immortal snake god. We also kill Tanith because she's weird, but we spare Raya because she's cool. There are a handful of quests we can't finish yet, but we progress them as far as possible, before finally fighting the fighter giant at level 111. Needless to say, it wasn't very hard, not just because of the levels, but you can just camp his left ankle. Very fun. So, we sacrifice Melina, burn down the Erdtree, and enter Farum Azula. Let me ask you, what do you get when you combine 2 slightly above average fights into 1? Dog shit. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but this fight is the worst. It is the sole reason I have the Darkmoon Greatsword in my build, because if I'm not using summons, then I need to cheese this fight another way. I refuse to fight them legit. Luckily, the next boss is one of the coolest in the game, Dragon Lord Placidusax. Undeniably S tier fight. When he switches phases and he has that one attack which you think is just the coolest thing in the game at the time, but then he starts shooting giant plasma beams, it's awesome. But like all dragons, his weakness is just camping his feet. And as we approach the end of Farum Azula, we finish Iron Fist Alexander's quests, giving him the duel of his life and a proper send-off. Then we face the final boss in this area, Malekith the Black Blade. The first phase is pretty simple, but the second phase sits this boss comfortably in the S tier, not just because it looks cool, but because it has a dedicated parry mechanic. If you take a small detour before the fight and kill this munchkin, you can get the Blasphemous Claw, an item that serves no function other than allowing you to parry not 1, but 2 of Malekith's attacks. What? Killing Malekith allows us to return to the capital and make our final ascent to our rightful throne. First I finish Goldmask's quest and get the second mending rune, and guess what? He's dead now. And then we fight Sir Gideon Ofnir, and if you want to talk about magic spamming wiener lickers, I hate this boss. We kill him, teabag his ass, and move on to an actually good fight. Godfrey, the first Elden Lord. In my lord in Christ, I have homosexual feelings for this man. The fight's also designed well. The first phase is a rematch of Golden Godfrey, but at half health he transforms into Hoarah. Oh my lord. After letting him ground pound me a few times, we put this hunk of a man to rest and move on to the final boss, Radagon of the Golden Order. After 2 years of not playing, I still had the first phase unlocked, beating him with 10 flasks left. Then we face the Elden Beast, and to this day, this phase transition is the sexiest I've ever seen. The environment, the music, cinema. The second phase itself is even easier, barring a few brain-dead mistakes. But getting past those, the fight is actually light work. And so we have slain God and usurped its throne, summoning our waifu and becoming a lunar deity. That's my headcanon at least. Of course, that wasn't the real final boss. We still have Malenia, who's just a short trip away to the consecrated snowfields. On the way, killing this Deathrite bird completes all of the small side bosses. I didn't have the disk space to record the others, you just have to believe I did it. But we have officially conquered the entire main continent of Elden Ring. The Erdtree is the only area untouched by our empire. Not for long. I want to get to the DLC, so we're speedrunning, running past all the enemies straight for Loretta. And what can I say? I love this fight. It looks cool, and it's easy. It helps having fought her before. Deeper in the Erdtree, we can find these 2 seedbed curses, which we feed to the Dung Eater to finish his quest, killing him, of course. But it gives us our third and final mending room. We run to the insides of the tree to finish the last side quest in the game, Millicent. For this we have to help her fight her 4 sisters at the same time. I managed to barely win my fight before instantly dying to Scarlet Rot, and when I looked over, she had killed the other 3. Naturally, it's the end of her questline, so she dies anyways. Then I take a quick detour to the Mohgwyn Palace and face Mohg, the Lord of Blood, brother of Morgoth and Mikla's cousin, and lover? Let's just put him down. Killing him unlocks the DLC, but we can't do that yet. We still have one last obstacle. We made it, boys. End of the line. 164 bosses slain and 161 levels acquired. The only thing remaining is the brick wall that is Malenia. As expected, this was no easy fight, but the rust was quickly shedding. Her moveset was being downloaded. Oh, I survived. After only 4 attempts, I was able to get to her second phase. Victory was only a matter of time. Oh no. Well, that's it. We fully conquered the lands between in 47 hours of gameplay. Every boss slain, 7 great runes acquired, every side quest completed, and all 3 mending runes in our possession. The only thing left to do was touch Miquella's hand and enter the DLC. Welcome to the Land of Shadow. Upon entering, we can already see our first target, the Furnace Golem. This guy isn't a boss, but he serves as a great blueprint for the DLC. Really cool looking fights that take hours because the enemies have near infinite health, but we kill him, eventually. Then, we grab our first Shadow Tree Fragment, an item that permanently boosts your attack power and damage negation. For some added spice, I challenge myself to not use these for as long as possible, so, not very long. We also meet the first members of Miquella's fan club, all warriors sworn to serve their kindly Miquella, who is totally a good guy and definitely not a brainwashing psychopath who mind-controlled his half-brother into becoming an incestual pedophile. I'm sorry, Vogue. Slightly further, and we find our first legacy dungeon. At the end is the DLC's first main boss, the Divine Beast Dancing Lion. This guy gave me a rough reality check. My weapons were potatoes, and my character had the resiliency of a banana. I was getting cooked. But I had resolve. I would not succumb to the temptations of the Shadow Tree Fragments. I would tough it out like a man. For 2 hours I toiled away, death after death. And after 19 attempts, we prevailed. We tried to advance to the next area, but it's blocked off. Blocked by shadow? What is this, Darksiders 2? Meaning we're forced to go exploring. I just want to highlight how great the exploration was. You take a detour through a swamp, which opens up into a serene field of flowers, which might be one of the most beautiful areas I've ever seen. And there's a waterfall, with a cave behind it. Oh my god. Then you find a lava forge dungeon and you realize, wait, this is Darksiders 2. I also got this cool cape from the Black Jail Knight, which I will wear for the rest of the game. We end up exploring so hard, we skip the next main boss by jumping over this mountain into the next area. Here we can speak with Leda, Miquella's main simp and leader of his fan club. Of course, I did go back to fight the next main boss, Rolana, the Twin Moon Knight. This fight is best described as unrelenting aggression. She may strike fear into the hearts of the cowardly, but a visionary such as myself is able to see she can be parried. The return of the parry. We finally switch weapons to the Great Turtle Shield with Golden Parry and the Great Sword of Solitude. With this, Rolana stands no chance. Well, we had a good run. We beat one boss without the Shadow Tree Blessing. I think we're allowed to use it now. After getting it to level 6, it's time to finish this. Two bosses down, 9 more to go. We grab Rolana's dual swords, then it's back to exploring. And if you thought the Cerulean Coast was beautiful, just wait until you find Charo's hidden grave. This spot right here is the most beautiful thing I've ever laid my eyes upon. So of course they ruin it by putting the worst boss in the whole game here. What? The next boss ain't much better. First, you gotta jump down this hole. Give it a sec. Every time you die, then you're faced with the Putrescent Knight, whose fight is more of a waiting simulator than the eloquent dance of his predecessor. Where are you going? But 7 deaths later, and the chore is done. My next target was Baal, godfather of all drakes, sitting on his throne atop the jagged peaks. Now I have not used a single summon this whole game, but a friend of mine instructed me that I had to use Drake Warrior Iden, and needless to say, I was not disappointed. The start of the fight is already great, but when Baal enters the second phase, it ascends to godhood. This shit had me entering a state of attention deficit hyperactivity, but without the deficit, cause this shit is banging. To continue the story, we venture into the Shadow Keep, which acts as the DLC's hub world. There are 3 almost completely separate but fleshed out legacy dungeons put into one, which lead to 6 different areas with 5 different story bosses. Going through the main entrance, you'll come face to face with the Golden Hippopotamus, a very annoying boss because one of the attacks is borderline undodgeable. You roll through it but still get hit because Moto over here moves so damn slow, by the time your roll ends, his hitbox is in the same spot. Moving on. Continuing down the main path will bring you to the ancient ruins of Ra. Beating a dead horse here, but this is such a beautiful area. This is where we find Romina, Saint of Bud. Not a very difficult boss fight, but one of my favorites. Unique attacks, cool design, no BS, just good basic enemy design. But returning to Shadow Keep, if you venture through the Specimen Warehouse, you'll find yourself climbing through a never-ending library that leads to a nondescript, ominous door. That definitely doesn't hold a very important story boss. Unfortunate for me, I never found this area until the end of my playthrough, because I didn't see this very obvious hallway. If you enter the Shadow Keep from the east, you'll find the Sunken Chapel, which splits even further into an upper and lower section. The former links back to the Specimen Warehouse and forces you to climb even higher, ending at the location of Commander Gaius, probably the worst fight in the DLC. Amazing idea to have a mounted Torrent fight, except Torrent sucks ass, so you gotta fight Gaius on foot, but he won't stop moving. This attack makes no sense, and his combos never end. That being said, this fight was one of my favorites. Not because he's good, but definitely not, but because I entered the second phase with only 4 flasks, and I locked in. Oh my god. That dopamine hit is the reason I don't need drugs. Who needs heroin when you have video games? After the fight, I switched to the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana, which is the best weapon in Elden Ring, because it makes fighting dragons actually fun. No more camping their toes, you can actually hit their head. Great job, Miyazaki. Now for the lower side of the Sunken Chapel. After draining the water, you can discover a hidden pathway to another boss, the Shadow Tree Avatar. And with the Great Katana, you can spam the weapon art into the boss's weak point for a free 50% increase in damage, meaning it's free real estate. Now for the 2 secret areas of Shadow Keep. First, the Hinterlands. I'm gonna say it, this is the most beautiful thing I've seen in my life. With the music too, oh my god. Here we can finish Ymir's questline, who has you blow some fingers, then gives you access to his underground finger altar, in which you fight Matir, Mother of Fingers. This fight is wild. It's a pregnant finger deity that projectile Berta's hands at, shoots lasers, and turns into a Beyblade. And after killing her, you go back upstairs to have Count Ymir continue to spew baby hands at you. What sick mind came up with this stuff? Then we have Midra's Manse, home of the Lord of Frenzied Flame, the epitome of swag. My guy is wielding his own ribcage as a sword. It's so cool! Now, there are only 2 bosses remaining. One of which is behind that nondescript ominous door I still hadn't found yet. And of course, it's the main boss, the dude from the cover, Mesmer, the Impaler. It sucks that I fought him so late because this fight is awesome, but I was so overleveled. He does no damage to me, and I was chunking his spear. R.I.P. young one, you will be missed. To honor him, I switched to using a spear before burning down the shadow thorns blocking the final area, entering Enir Ilm, a holy city spiraling towards the heavens where Miquella plans to ascend to godhood. Before reaching him, we're stopped by Leda and the Miquella fan club, assisted by our one true ally, Ansbach, the GOAT. We clash with our former friends and allies in a battle for the ages. Freya is the first to fall, quickly followed by Mor. It pains my heart. An honorable duel with Dane commences, but he too meets his end. Fittingly, Leda is the last to go. As we make the final ascent towards Miquella, we pass the bodies of our freshly slain allies, and get some new fucking drip, man! It's hard to choose which hero's weapon to use, including this awesome pole blade lightsaber thingy, but I thought it'd be funny to beat the, allegedly, hardest boss in gaming by just throwing hands, so I equipped Dane's footwork and entered the fog. Challenging Radahn, Miquella's promised consort. I admit, he is slightly difficult, but that's to be expected. I'm using the worst build of all time. But what's all the hype about? It only took me 8 attempts to get to his second phase. This can't take that long, right? Right? What? Okay, no more fun and games. It's time to take the gloves off. The dual spear bleed build. This man will rue the day he ever decided to face me.
5 hours
and 40 deaths
later.
It's 6 a.m. I'm going to bed. I came back with a clear mind. I came back with focus. I came back for vengeance. I didn't need to warm up, I was already hot. First attempt, half health, light work. Very next try, 25% health. Victory was in my grasp, I could smell it. And on my 69th attempt, my destiny was fulfilled. Oh my god. Ooh. Holy fuck. Oh my god. I gotta save. Oh my god. After all that agony, we've beaten all 208 Elden Ring bosses. We are a king, an emperor, a true god in every sense of the word. You know, it would really suck if they nerfed Radahn directly after I beat him. You gotta be